People nowadays change their opinions in seconds. It can be due to social media, it can be due to something they've read online, to an article they've seen. Well, the main important idea is that organizations and corporations are no longer safe with their operations because they can become immediately the target of the entire public pressure if there is issue going on around their company. And because it is so easy for a company to take damage in terms of its image, in terms of its reputation on the long term, just because of an issue that arises, now we talk about the importance of having a plan for managing issues and crises in terms of companies and corporate reputation and corporate communication. Let's take an example: healthy eating and obesity. The topic is already addressed and discussed within society, and it could emerge as an issue in any second. In many instances, before such issues are connected to an organization, before activists link these problems to companies, there can be observed certain concerns. Basically, companies like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or KFC or you name it could observe these concerns within society, and they could address them before they turn into issues or crises that could affect the image of their operations. If such a scenario happens, any company needs to be prepared to put in action a plan that manages the issue or the crisis, if it turned into a crisis already, in order to protect its image and the reputation on the long term. And they do it with marketing, they do it with public relations, external communications. On this channel we call all three of these domains into only one, named corporate communication. And in this video of corporate communication we talk about the management of issues and crises. And of course, because it is quite important for companies to protect their image and to protect their future reputation, because a public concern or a public debate can quickly turn into an issue or into a crisis, and companies need to have an action plan ready for management of issues and crisis. We talk about it in this video. We talk about the entire process, all the stages, all the steps that a company needs to undertake in order to manage an issue or a crisis, and we talk about the entire processing and measurement that it needs to take. And this is the reason that they don't want to fall into the trap of being in a negative spotlight from news media's organizations, and they talk about issues and crisis management. The entire process of issues management consists of three stages: environmental scanning, issue identification and analysis, and issue-specific response strategies and evaluation. So first of all, we discuss about environmental scanning, because you need to understand companies nowadays operate within a complex external world full of factors such as the economy, such as policy, such as culture, such as whatever social world, and all these factors you might recognize them as the entire external environment of a company. I've created a separated video about it right here, where we discussed each individual factor, what it means, how it affects a company. But going back, the idea is that the complexity of the environment affects a company nowadays. And because there are all these factors that influence the external environment of a company, the point that we are on in environmental scanning and analysis is that the company actually analyzes its strengths and weaknesses, and it can be ready for anything that appears. And because there is such complexity in the world they operate within, a company needs to perform an analysis. It needs to know its weaknesses and its strengths in order to better position itself in case of an issue. In order to perform such an analysis, there are two analytical tools that are nowadays very used: the DESTEP analysis and the SWOT analysis. The DESTEP analysis is a broad analysis of the various demographic, economic, social, technological, ecological, and political developments and factors that are expected to have an impact upon the organization and its operations. It includes a summation of factors such as government regulations that affect the industry in which the organization operates. Social is the changing societal attitudes towards certain industries and increasing demand for corporate citizenship. And economic is the effects of the economic slump and recession of the organization's supply and pricing strategies. So as a summary, this DESTEP analysis provides a framework or the place, the plan, in order to summarize and analyze all these factors. It doesn't matter if we talk about political factors, economical factor, cultural factor, a company analyzes them all in order to better understand what changes in the environment right now. The main point is that if you understand what is happening in the environment right now, you can predict, or you may attempt to predict, what will happen in the environment in the future. About the SWOT analysis, I've created a separated video right here where we talk at length about it, specifically all the details, all the letters, everything there is and you need to know, but just a summary, we'll address it once again. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. The result of the SWOT analysis should be an understanding of the organization's status, of its standing and important groups in the environment. The analysis should be carried out in an objective and detailed manner. So just as a summary, these are the important factors that you need to remember about environmental scanning. There are two analytical tools that companies can use in order to perform the analysis of the environment. It is the DESTEP analysis and the SWOT analysis. The purpose of these two analyses is A, to understand the weaknesses and strengths of a company in order to know what are the resources a company has in order to well handle an issue if it appears, and two, in order to understand the environment and the complexity, what happens right now in the world. Because if you understand what happens now, you will understand what may happen in the future. In the second step of issue and crisis management process, the company looks for and identifies the present intensity of an issue, if it already exists within society, and how emerging it is. As a quick recap, in the first phase of the process, that is called environmental scanning, the company performs going on with two analytical tools, and it's called the DESTEP analysis and the SWOT analysis. So the purpose of these two tools is that the company understands the resources it has, the strengths, the weaknesses, and so on, and also which are the factors, what is happening in the environment right now. Now, in the second step, the company analyzes how much attention it needs to give to the issue. So they actually analyze how much coverage that issue or that concern has, if it has pressure from the media, from the publics, and also it analyzes the stage, if it's a latent or an active issue that it has to handle. The position importance matrix, it is a useful tool that companies use in order to analyze the stakeholder and the public opinions on a particular issue. It is also, you may say that it is similar to the power interest matrix. If you don't know what the power interest matrix is, there is a video that I've created about it in order to understand it. Going on with the position importance matrix, it is less concerned with the general salience or interest of stakeholders, but it is concerned with the position of the stakeholder in relation to a particular issue. So basically, the position importance matrix determines how important somebody that talks about an issue is to the company. A numerical value of 0 to -5 is assigned to stakeholders who oppose the organization on a particular issue. To those who support it, they are given a grade from 0 to 5. The importance of stakeholders and publics to the organization is measured on a horizontal axis and varies from 0 to 10, where 10 is the most important. After the publics are positioned on the two values, 4 categories of stakeholders and publics result from the analysis. Problematic stakeholders or publics are those stakeholders or publics who are likely to oppose or to be hostile to the organization's course of actions, but are relatively unimportant to the organization because they are not normally recognized as important publics and have little power to exert strong pressure on the organization. Antagonistic publics are those stakeholders or publics who are likely to oppose or be hostile to the organization's course of action and hold power or influence over the organization. The low priority stakeholders or publics are those stakeholders or publics who are likely to support the organization's course of action but are relatively unimportant in terms of their power or influence on the organization. And finally, supporter stakeholder or publics are those stakeholders or publics who are likely to support the organization's course of action and are important to the organization in terms of their power or influence. So after this categorization is completed, after the company analyzed its stakeholders, it needs to go on with a communication strategy. And I will give you some tips for each category of stakeholder, what communication practices you can take on. For problematic stakeholders, to change their opinion on an issue, it is useful to prepare defensive statements or crisis plans. Strategies for antagonistic stakeholders typically involve anticipating the nature of their objection. Strategies for antagonistic stakeholders typically involve anticipating the nature of their objections and develop counter-arguments, as well as bargaining with the selected publics to win their support. Strategies for low-priority publics consist of educational programs and promoting companies' involvement with these supporting stakeholders. And finally, strategies for supporter stakeholders involve providing information to reinforce their position and possibly ask them to influence different stakeholders. When a company has to deal with an issue or has to deal with a crisis or has to address a public concern that has the potential to emerge or to develop into an issue, the company needs to know that there are three important strategies or three important approaches in order to perform its communication. Before that, it needs to know that the way you choose this approach or this communication strategy is by considering the amount of pressure there is from the news or from the publics on that issue about the values and the beliefs of managers of the organizations, and of course about the costs. So let's analyze each response strategy that there is and let's see which suits you better. A buffering strategy, it is an attempt to stonewall the issue and delay its development. Organizations attempt to continue with their existing behavior by postponing decisions or by remaining silent. Buffering involves trying to keep claims from stakeholders or public from interfering with internal operations. A good example is ExxonMobil's initial attempts to remain silent on the issue of climate change and avoid organizational ownership of the issue. A bridging strategy involves organizations being open to change and recognizing the issue and its inevitability. Bridging occurs when organizations seek to adapt organizational activities so that they conform to external expectations of important stakeholders and publics. In response to those expectations, organizations attempt to find a way to accommodate them within the company's plan and operations. As an example are the companies who aim to be transparent in reporting progress on their environmental performance and may actively engage in a dialogue with their stakeholders about environmental issues and expectations. An advocacy strategy, it is an attempt to try to change stakeholders' expectations and public opinions on an issue through issue campaigning and lobbying. Organizations do not directly stonewall an issue, that would be buffering, or adapt to external expectation, that would be bridging, but use campaigning and lobbying to alter the opinion and stakeholders' expectations on an issue, and often in such a way that these conform to the organization's present practices, outputs, and values. As an example is ExxonMobil, that has lobbied governments on climate change and has sponsored think tank and campaigning organizations that have directly or indirectly taken money from a company. These companies took a consistent, contradictory approach about climate change. The company lobbied and campaigned against the needs of climate change. Let's see a resume of these strategies and what we just discussed. In buffering, organizations can deny the existence of an issue and remain silent. In bridging, organizations can adapt their operations and actively communicate and engage with stakeholders. And in advocacy, organizations can try to change stakeholders' expectations and public opinions on an issue so that these expectations and opinions conform to current practices and values. The choice depends on the intensity of the issue and on the importance to the organization's stakeholders groups, as well as on the beliefs and values of the managers in the organization. Regarding a resume on communication, in buffering, organizations often communicate very little publicly on the issue, but may issue defensive statements to the media and defend the company's policy on states and on a particular issue. In bridging, it often involves extensive communication in the form of a corporate advertising campaign on the issue, dialogue forums with stakeholders, and the publication of progress of the issue. And in advocacy, well, transparency consists of lobbying and campaigning on the issue. This may involve sponsorship of campaigning organizations or NGOs, a mass media corporate issue campaign, and face-to-face presentation to key opinion leaders and the issue. And there is one more thing that you need to know, that when you communicate, you can frame a message. So you need to develop a style that message is written in, so it influences the publics in the way you want. So about framing, I've created right here a special video that you can watch, or find it in the video down in the description below. Before going on, to check my channel for other videos about marketing and corporate communications. If you want to learn more about marketing, I've created a dictionary that you can download for free. In the links down in the description, there is a marketing dictionary. It has about 400 terms that are explained. You can take it on your mobile, on your phone, on your laptop, to study all these terms when you need to. And also, if you're an entrepreneur, if you opened your very first company or you manage a company, in the link down in the description there is a business plan that you want to check. I created a manual, not for only a business plan, but a communication plan and a marketing plan for any startup, for any company. It involves all the information that you need to know in order to create a business plan by the book, with all the information you need to know, with all the steps that you need to follow, and also a notebook that when you fill in with your personalized information, the outcome is your very own personalized communication strategy, your very own and personalized for your business marketing strategy and business plan. Check it in the links down in the description. And of course, remember that you can support me to create these videos by buying me a coffee. Well, I drink quite a lot of coffee in creating these videos, for researching all the information, for filming the videos, and for editing them, so you can watch them for free on YouTube, and you can check the link. And also, there are the very classic ways to thank me for creating this video is by liking the video. It helps me with a lot with the algorithm. By commenting, leave a comment in the comment section, it helps with the algorithm, and subscribe to my channel to see more.